Welcome again. Dear viewer, welcome to the new episodes of نتناول with my special guest. My guest is very special, really, and he's one of the African remarkable literary voices, a writer whose influence border to reach the global audience. My guest is Malawian author Shadreck Chikoti. He's the one, like a very member and famous writers, and I'm very honored to have him today with my program with نتناول. And let me tell you a little information about him. My guest is a writer, editor, and publisher, and social activist. He served as president of the Malawian Writers Union, and he was selected among of the prestigious list of African 39 most influential writers under 40. In 2014, CNN named him one of the 7 most read young African writers. And in 2019, he received the distinguished AWA fellowship for the International Writing Program. Chikoti is the founder and director of the Pan-African Publishers in Malawi, and he has authored several books, including novels, short stories, and poetries. He have a lot of things, so let us to introduce him and welcoming him to this show. Welcome, Mr. Chikoti. How are you?
I'm all right. How are you doing, Saman? Thank you so much for having me in your program.
I'm very happy, and it's really my honor to having you. Please let us to start with you. Please, before you being a writer, what the most spark or what inspired you to choose to be a writer? How you start this journey?
So I don't know, maybe I might call it fate, because I grew up amongst people who were very artsy. My father, I think he used to be in plays during his high school days, and then during his college days, he would write drama and would act also in the plays. And so, that background, but also one of my cousins was a poet. Of course, these two took it as a hobby. But each time we had, some free time at home, they would display their, gifts, especially my cousin would read his poetry, especially during his holidays at home. And also the stories that my dad would talk about during, this is what we used to do during our secondary school days, during our college days. And that inspired me. And then I ended up to be the most serious one because these two took it as a hobby. But when I got into writing, I fell in love with it. And I think I first published at the age of 9. It was a poem that was published in a magazine. And then since then, it's been a journey until now. I'm still going and still loving it. It's got its ups and downs, but it's something lovely. It's something worth doing.
Okay, let me ask you about you are receiving the AWA fellowship. What a significant milestone. What did this experience add to your creative and personal development?
So, Iowa International Writers Program is one of the prestigious, I think, platforms when it comes to writing internationally in the whole world. Actually, the program is considered the Harvard of writing. Several things that I benefited. One is just an eye opener to the possibilities of literature, because it exposes you to writers that come from different countries. I think in our case, we had writers from more than 15 countries. And then you're getting to learn what is happening in all these countries. And it's different from, what you're used to. And that alone is eye-opening, because it teaches you their possibilities of language, for example. One interesting thing that happened while we were there was a publication. One of us had published a book of poems. It was one poem that had been translated into so many languages, and we had to translate that, and it was published during our time.
Wow!
So that alone to tell you that power of languages.
Yes,
you know, yeah, and to put you into that community where you get that inspiration. So a lot of things, and especially the possibilities, but also the growth of the network as an individual, as a writer. I think that grows your network. I was working on a novel while I was at Iowa, and this is a science fiction novel.
Yes,
I had the idea while I was at home about how this novel was gonna go, and I think if I were in Malawi, I would have written it differently. But I go to Iowa, and then I had an opportunity to research, but also to actually get into the spaces physically of what I was trying to portray in the book. So then I was writing about virtual reality, and to do with androids and stuff. Yes. And I had an opportunity to actually see that and actually get into that. And I think it changed somehow the aspect of the novel. Some aspects of it changed because of the things that I had encountered while at Iowa. So that alone also that also adds up to the experience. So a number of things. We had an opportunity to travel around the US to different universities, talking with professors and students, to festivals, and just touring the US. And again, that experience added to the writing aspect and my writing aspect, my view of the world, my view of my writing, because you're getting into these spaces and getting different people, their views and their type of writing. Some are doing experimental writing and all. So it is, in a nutshell, a lot of things that you benefit from this writing program.
Yeah, that's nice. That leads me to another questions. You are one of the African prominent literary voices. You carry the responsibility of representing a rich and diverse cultures. So how do you perceive the role of the African writers today in shaping awareness and identity?
So, that's a difficult question.
Yeah.
And one that I think as African writers, we have grappled with. A question that I've been asking myself for a very long time. As a writer, am I carrying the burden of Africa and my people? Yes, somehow I think yes.
Yes.
But I do not go out with that burden on my shoulder, or with that knowledge of that burden. Because if I have that knowledge, the knowledge of that burden, then it's going to weigh heavily on me, that even when I'm writing, this is what I'm going to think of first. So sometimes I love to put that in the background and just to think of myself as a vehicle. So you're looking at, this is my belief that stories are there already. They exist somewhere, and that we are just messengers. So if a story wants to be told, it can go anywhere to anybody. But if I feel so heavily about this story, it means that story has chosen me and it wants me to write. And it might be about my culture. It might be something that's against my culture, but it's about this story, and I have to tell it in a manner that does a good service to the story. In a manner that the story will not come back to me and say, you didn't tell me right, so I'm going to go to somebody else, and then we're going to have multiple versions because you didn't do a good job.
Yes.
So my job as a writer is to make sure that I treat my stories in a manner that my stories will be happy, because my stories already know where they want to go. And so when I'm done with my story, it will choose what it wants to do. It might be a story that's, an activist story. It might be a story that is just there to entertain. It might be a story that, is there to talk about nationalism, my country, democracy. But I don't go out first to say, this is what I want to write about. I want to write about democracy now. I want to write this story, and I want to make sure that it comes out the way it wants to be.
Yes, really.
I don't know if that makes sense.
Okay, Andy. You balance writing with the social activism, giving your voice an added dimension. So how does your social activism influence your writing? How you get that balance?
Yes. So, how does my social activism influence my writing? How does my writing influence my social activism? So I think it's in both ways. As a writer, sometimes you see things happening, and you don't have enough time maybe to put this on paper. You just want to speak about it, and so the two are different, but the two are the same because they emanate from the, I think, same place of you want to deliver, you want to make sure that the universe is in a good place. And if it takes your writing, that's okay. If you want to speak about it, that's fine. But I think when it comes to activism, like for me, I can't avoid it because these are things that I'm seeing, and I would like to see our society a better place, and I just contribute in whichever way I can, through my writing, but also through my voice, through my activities. So that's my activism side.
Yeah, okay. You are now the African literature has been experienced a strong revival in recent years. So how do you envision the future of the African literatures and how its directions?
It's good that you're talking about future. That's one subject that I'm also interested in. You see, there's so much happening in Africa.
Yes.
In our countries, that it is very difficult to look at the future. We are looking at the now. Yes. We're looking at, where we're going to get the food, where we're going to get the house, where we're going to get this now. We want electricity now. We want water now. Excuse me. Yes. And that somehow closes in the door for us to think beyond, to look into the future. Yes. So one of the novels that I wrote is Azotus the Kingdom, which is a novel that looks into the future, some hundreds of years from now, Africa hundreds of years from now. And I'm just, imagining the future. What is it going to be like? I think it is one of the presidents in the U.S., must be Abraham Lincoln, paraphrasing him, who said, you can't have a future if you don't imagine it. Yeah. This is not the exact way how he said it, but what he's saying is you have to imagine what you want to be or what you want to have. Yes. Only then can you have it. It has to start in your mind. Yes. And so we need that in Africa. We need that everywhere. And as writers, I think we have contributed, and we continue to contribute to say, in as much as we have all these problems and all these things, these current affairs, let's, have this futuristic kind of mind. And
you are the founder of the publishing house. You have a close view of the emerging creative voices. And what role does Pan-African publishers aim to play in supporting the new African writers?
Thank you. So in 2008, I was in Sweden at some workshop. And it was a writers' congress, rather. And I was talking about how difficult it is for writers in Malawi to publish. Yes. Because most publishers, publishing is a business. And so a publisher publishes a book that they know is going to sell. And in Malawi, poetry, fiction mostly does not sell. For obvious reasons, and the buying power, of course. People would rather buy food than a book. And so you see that this kind of genres are not being published, especially fiction. And so I had talked about that. And then a friend came to me, Trini Anderson, and said, you know, the best thing to deal with this problem is to establish publishing houses. And maybe we should establish a publishing house. And this is how the idea was born. And they came to Malawi, started working on this, establishing this publishing house. Idea is to give opportunity to write to upcoming writers and to writers also that are not being published by, the main publishers or the big publishers in Malawi, because they want to publish textbooks which can sell in schools. And so since we established, I think, our publishing house, we have published more than 20 books by now, poetry, novels and different kinds of books. Going at a slow pace, but I think we are contributing.
Yeah. Okay, my dear. Every writer is shaped by its root. So how does Malawian culture influence in your literary work? How we can find your Malawian cultures in your writing?
So obviously, one is language. I write my stories mostly in my local language.
Yeah.
And then, like when I'm working on a longer work, I write that in Chichewa. And then translate that myself into English. Okay. I have done that with all the longer works that I've done. The idea is your culture influences the way you think. And your culture influences the way you think.
Yes.
And I think bilingual. I think in Chichewa and I also think in English. So rather I should say my longer works are bilingual. They're in Chichewa and they're in English. Most parts are in Chichewa though. The English parts would be, very small. So that's, in the first place, that's how my culture influences my writing. But of course, also, I write about Malawi. I write about the life in Malawi, about people in Malawi. And you can't avoid your society and your culture in how it influences you as a writer, because that's who I am. I am my culture. And every time you write, there's a piece of you in that writing. I know that this is something that has been debated for ages amongst writers, but also, academics, whether when you write, you have a piece of you in there. But I think each time you write, there's a piece of you in there, and that's your culture.
Yes.
So, definitely culture influences somebody's writing.
Yeah, you are right. And writers, if when he writing again and again, he keeps some of himself in same books, like he disturbs himself in their books, to know about him. And now in our era is very fast and ever changing, and so that make us very challenging in our literatures. So how the technology, you think, and the social media influence writing and reading today?
So you see, social media and AI is becoming part of our culture. It is becoming part of our lives.
Yeah.
And as writers, we just need to embrace this because, for example, AI is here to stay. It's not going anywhere. It's about how we'll navigate around AI. I have seen how that, for example, some upcoming writers in my country would rather have AI write their short story. So just give it ideas and then write their short story. In that way, they are abusing themselves because they are taking away their power to create. So I think it's an issue of balancing. If you are a creative, if you're a creator of stories, you have to create stories. If you let something create the story for you, then you're cheating yourself. Because you're surrendering your power to a machine. But there are instances when AI is helpful, for example, when it comes to editing your work. If you're writing, for example, like I've said, I write my stories in Chichewa, AI can help, maybe translating, but it doesn't have to dictate. It doesn't have to, take your power to author, to edit, to put a voice into your piece. So it's an issue of how we navigate this digital universe in the way that it does not take away our power.
Yeah, really. We hope still we have controlling until the future, with the AI and challenge.
Exactly.
Please,
exactly.
I know many of your work blend reality with imaginations in a striking way. How do you see the role of imaginations in revealing social truth?
So you see, the goodness of writing, or the goodness of literature, the goodness of art, is that it does not have limitations. That's why books get banned, because they are saying things that society does not want to say, or they are revealing things that society does not want to reveal. But you also see how much that books have influenced lives, changed opinions. So that's the power of literature, that it has no boundaries, it has no limitations. And so it's a very powerful tool to use, even in advancing, social, economic, projects, views. You can use that. You can use literature to address such kind of things.
Yes. Words shape a writer's journey, but also give a high expectations. How did being selecting among Africa top 39 writers under 40 influence your creative path?
So that was very humbling to me. This is in 2015. There were many writers from across the continent. And I think it was late Binyavanga then who had been given, this task to, look around Africa to find, 39 authors under the age of 40 who are influential. And I think he had collected information from a lot of writers from across the continent. And I think Elekchi Amadi was on that project as well, and a few other African authors and curators of art and all that. And so when my name was announced, I could not believe myself that, I was joining this prestigious fleet of young writers in Africa who were seen to be influential in their respective spaces. And that has been one of the things that has continued to fuel my writing until now. And of course, that opened a lot of doors. It continues to open doors for me. But also, that's a big challenge to me, because I have to live according to, that status. I don't have to go below it. And that has challenged me again and again to keep on writing, but not just writing, to write something that can be presented anywhere else in the world and people will appreciate. And so those two things was encouraging. It keeps encouraging me and gives me the fire to keep on writing.
Yes. Every writer is a reader in first place. So which authors have influenced and shaped your literary vision?
I have a number of authors, and sometimes I love to talk about them in terms of books. But one of the great influences for me has been Ngugi wa Thiong'o, late Ngugi wa Thiong'o. I was, very intrigued with him when I was starting to write. He is one of the first that I read. Of course, the usual suspects, Chinua Achebe, but also Kurt Vonnegut, And there's another book that influenced me mostly. It's called Fahrenheit 451. I've forgotten the writer. And of course, the classics. I can't think of any other at the moment, but these have been very influential. And my peers, of course, from different parts of Africa. There's Namwali Sepo from Zambia, a very good writer. Nedi Okorafor, a science fiction writer from the US, very good writer, and a few others have been very influential to me indeed.
Yeah, okay. To ask about the African writers today addressed both local and global audience. How do you balance expressing Malawi identity while trying to reaching an international readership?
So I do not look at my stories in terms of audience or readership. Like I said at the beginning, stories have a way of connecting themselves to their audience. And I'll give you an example. There was a time I had written a story that was based in a European country. I will not mention the European country. It didn't have any African writers in it. I mean, an African in it, rather.
Yeah.
The characters were Europeans in this book. The setting was European. And it was a book that had nothing to do with Africa. It was just a story that I wanted to tell.
Yeah.
I sent this story to a publisher and it was accepted. But later on, they learned that the writer was an African writer. And so when they learned that the writer was an African writer, they said they couldn't publish the story. Because how could an African writer write this story which was not happening, and there was nothing African about it? And so, you know, that's one thing that taught me that if you put yourself so much into your writing and saying, this is my audience, you know, it's like you're doing things in reverse. The story has to choose its audience. In this particular case, my story had chosen an audience.
Yes.
But later on, when it was discovered that it was written by me, it was rejected, you know. So I don't know if we should write with a view of an audience in mind, but stories have a way of breaking barriers, breaking boundaries. And so when you're writing a story, you don't say, this is a Malawian story, I want this to be read in Malawi. You're just writing a story. And, you know, that story has the right to go anywhere in whatever way it wants to.
Yeah, you are right, really. We always love to know what creators are preparing next. So what current or upcoming project can you readers look forward to?
Well, I've been working on several stories, I think, which is, I don't think it's advisable that you should write, you know, you should have multiple projects, unfinished projects. Yeah, but one of the things that I am interested in is the history of Malawi. So I'm writing into the history of this country, and you know, just to fictionalize that, and so I'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I'm excited. Yeah, really, I want to see. I think now we are reached to the last question. So before we are closing this episode, please let me to ask you to give us like advice for the younger writers who want to start this journey to be a writers. So what you can advise him?
Start writing. When I was beginning, start writing, and of course you can't write without reading. You know, and a writer has to be a reader first before they write. But like in my country, I've seen writers who are very hesitant to start writing, and sometimes they want to be authenticated by peers. So they'll write something, they'll give it to a friend, and they're so eager to get their opinion. And if they don't want to continue because, their peers are not saying anything. Yes. Just continue writing. If you have that passion to write, bring out those stories. Don't worry about where the stories are going to go, who's going to publish. What you need to do is just to do justice to that story.
Yes.
And things open up, your network opens up. I didn't know that I would get to this stage when I was beginning to write, but there has been help on the way. There have been people on the way. And every piece of writing, when it wants to come out, it does that, and it finds its own way. It finds its people. It finds publishers, and so start writing, but also be a great reader.
Yes. Please, thank you, Mr. Shadreck Chikoti, for really inspiring and enjoyable. And you are really, it's my honor to meet you there. And really, I know you are so busy, so I really thank you. Thank you so much for this talking and give me important aspect of African writers. And really, I hope you a success when again. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sama. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I think now we still have 2 or 3 minutes, so I want just to close before it's finished, because if we cutting not be good, cut it without closing, But really, I'm having you. And thank you so much. I know I'm so late to come to you, but it's our time now.
No, it's fine. It was meant to be this. This is what it was meant to be.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sama. I'm looking forward when you post that. Let me see that.
Yeah, of course. I'll send it to you directly. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time. Thank you so much. See you.
Thank you so much, Sam. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.